Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of How the Hell Is This My Life? I am your host, Kiki Carroll.
And I'm your host, Asha Brown.
And we are back. It is the day after Valentine's Day, not Valentine's, like Anthony Anderson Blackish says. That was really that was getting me. Valentine's Day. How was your lover staying with your fiance? Your first and only engaged Valentine's Day.
It was great. It was wonderful. We did the usual, we went out for dinner. Our plan was originally to go, I like to go places I have not been when we go out for holidays and date nights and stuff, but it was also Valentine's Day and the city just reopened indoor dining. So getting a reservation was a hot diggity mess. So we went to Red Rooster because we really liked it the first time we went, which was a few weeks ago. So we went back there, but it was nice to be able to go down to their basement area is so nice. And we had the whole corner booth to ourselves, and felt like royalty and whatnot. It was great. And then our tradition to make Valentine's Day a lot easier to tackle and not put all the responsibility on one person is to choose something off of our New York City bucket list every year. Something we've never done in the city, definitely not done together. So he actually found, I had no idea it existed, the Skyline Drive-In. It's a drive-in movie theater. And I think they only do 2 movies at a time. So they had Pretty Woman and they had A Star Is Born playing, which was cool. I chose to do A Star Is Born just because I was I feel because of the setting, A Star Is Born was just was giving me old time vibes, give me old time vibes.
People probably have gone to drive-ins and seen A Star Is Born, so
yeah. So it was really cute. We brought snacks and little roadie drinks and kicked our seats back and enjoyed our lovely movie. It was really cool though, because it's called Skyline, I believe, because you literally can see the New York City skyline. It's in Greenpoint. So you can see the Empire State Building, and because it was Valentine's Day, the Empire State Building was what? Fuchsia pink. It was I was just everything was so perfect. It came together so perfectly. Yeah. And we had a grand old time.
It's nice that in New York City, you can still do stuff like that. You just rent a car.
Yeah. We've been planning to get a Zipcar membership. I'm pretty sure John has one too.
He does. Mm-hmm.
And I was it made it so easy to just be we don't need a car for a whole day. We just need a couple hours. And exactly. Yeah. So, because I was so not taking the train. No. So here we are. How was your Valentine's Day?
It was good. We went to a French restaurant. We're big into the French food. And we got to get all dolled up and get dressed up, kind of wash the mom and dad off for a hot second. And we ended up taking a page out of your book, because neither one of us have ever done, I've done it, but we haven't done it together. And John had never ridden in a horse-driven carriage before. We did real quick. We're it's cold. It is cold. 15 minutes, one lap. That's it. I'm not really trying to take a scenic route. We live here. We don't need this is where Serendipity was filmed. And we don't need any of that. Just loop me around, take some pictures with Black Star. That was the name of our horse. And then I'm going to get into a cab and go home. So it was nice though. It's very hard as parents to turn it completely off. I feel the only time that I've successfully ever turned off the mom brain, and has been very short, is when I am out of state for longer than one night and my mom is watching him. I have completely no qualms that he's anything is going to happen, or that she's not fully equipped to handle any scenario. So it's difficult to kind of turn that off, but I think we did very well. We put our phones away because Lauren was watching him. She's very capable. It was only a couple of hours and he loves her. That's his best friend. He was bye. I don't need anything to do with you. And she sends us pictures and things like that. She knows she sends enough information to keep us from being we haven't heard anything. Is everything okay? like what's going on. So she keeps us just enough in the know without like bombarding us with questions or anything like that. And so it was nice. Like we got to just kind of like talk about the fun stuff that's coming up for the wedding, and we got to just kind of talk about our jobs and just some like travel things we want to do and stuff we want to do on the honeymoon. And John and I like to, whenever we go out to dinner, which is few and far between, actually, just the two of us go to dinner. We like to kind of like do questionnaires or pick a topic that we don't talk about normally and try and like pick each other's brains on that. And I think that's romantic. It's like we spend a little bit of time getting to know a part of each other that like we don't already know. Because let's be honest, like, yes, we've been together for over 3 years now, but I don't know him inside and out. It's going to take beyond lifetimes to get to know somebody inside and out. We were grown adults when we got together. So that was nice. It was like the romance is still there. It was fun. And on that subject, let's revisit last week. Okay. Because last week I attempted to start talking about something that's very personal to me. And I think that as like a mom in general, there's probably plenty of other moms out there that struggle with this. And I realized that in my attempt to do it, I through probably fear and just like my own like anxieties, talking about it kind of was extremely ambiguous and didn't actually talk about it. So I want to kind of clarify. So I started using vitamins to help kind of regain energy for not going to bed early, energy for just like staying focused and things that like beyond mom, because my brain is always on mom, and that's exhausting. And energy for sex. I was talking about sex, guys. Want because I feel like it's a taboo subject for mothers. I also feel like mothers can't catch a break. So prime example, I was on TikTok the other day, and you know those videos where it's like the mom, it's like welcome to mom TikTok, and it's like the sexy mom, right? It's the one that like she seems to be fit, she's got wine, she seems to like know how to self-love herself, right? And she's taking care of her body, whatever she's doing is working, she looks young, she looks hot, she's the MILF, right? And then all these other moms come out of the woodwork like that's not what mom life is like. Well, it can be, and I've also seen videos where it's the opposite, where it's almost like, the moms that are struggling to keep it together, that wear sweatshirts all the time, that are tired all the time, that are really like just like struggling to try and like find their own path in motherhood. Then it's the opposite, right? Like people that seem to be able to work and play and dress nicely and have social life, tend to look at that as like, oh, like, why can't they get it together? Like, why can't they figure it out? So I feel like in the motherhood realm, there's so much judgment. And a lot of it can be fictitious. A lot of it is coming from your own anxieties and years of the media portraying motherhood in different lights and kind of like skewing the way that like you think you're like what is being a successful mother. Also, I feel like mothers don't really talk about taking care of themselves a lot with other mothers. They don't talk about their sex life with other mothers. I think that things that are pleasurable to you become things that like you kind of like toss to the wind. Like we are just so happy to get a scrap of a shower. And we're like, oh, I just want to take a bath. Like, oh, I took care of myself today. I took a bath, when a bath is a bare minimum. Like you have to clean your butt every day. Why is that like self-care? Why is that pleasure for you? Why is that all that we get? And so I feel like because a lot of people don't talk about it, it makes it scary to talk about it. Also, I in particular feel like pregnancy wasn't the way that I thought it was going to be. And the way that it affected my body, I was not prepared for. And I don't want to say that I was like a vixen or a sexual being or anything like that prior to getting pregnant. But, I watch these movies and like, right now my head just goes to, I think of The Best Man Holiday. And when Sanaa Lathan's character is pregnant with Tay Diggs' baby, and let's be honest, okay, like if you're pregnant with Tay Diggs' his baby, maybe you are horny. Maybe you are aroused. It is something that happens in pregnancy, is that your hormones can actually like really raise your sexual like desires, and that is just like something you want to do all the time. But it can also do the exact opposite. It can actually be like discomforting, like it's not, it's like painful, it's unpleasant, all of that. And I think that it's so weird that I can't really think of a reference in a movie where it is so unpleasant that like it's not something that the wife is still doing like during the pregnancy. And so there's a little bit of shame around that, like it's like you're doing something wrong if you're trying to have to work hard at getting your sexual drive back. And really, I'm not doing anything wrong. It's just my body's makeup and the way that my body responded to pregnancy. And also, I had a baby over 30. And so my hormones were shifting for their own reasons, because I'm getting older. Don't tell nobody. And so I needed a little bit of an extra boost. Our relationship is really good and we talk about a lot of things. And so I feel like sometimes when people have issues sexually, it's like you can't communicate. You don't feel like you trust that person or whatnot. I have been struggling with, and it's getting a lot better thanks to taking these regular vitamins. I feel like it's helping with that, but also I've been doing exercises. I've been trying to do some kind of like breathing exercises to kind of clear my head and get out of my own head, because it's not that I don't trust my partner. I don't trust my body. I'm rebuilding trust with my own body, and I'm learning how to use a body that doesn't function the way that it used to. And I have, 15 years as an adult, right? Like experiencing periods and hormones and all of that, 15 years of autopilot, right? And now we don't have autopilot anymore. And so we have to kind of figure it all out again. And so I just wanted to like take a second and clarify that that's what I was trying to talk about last week. It's very difficult to talk about, but I feel like more people should talk about it, because I cannot be the only mom that listens to this. And I know I'm not the only mom that I know that's ever struggled with this. And I feel like you can struggle with it during your pregnancy, and then after your pregnancy, you snap back. Right. And you can struggle with it for a long time afterwards as well. And so like I'm red, because it's so weird and gives me anxiety to talk about, but it's a real thing. Right. And so you lead by example. If you want other people to feel like they should open up, and it's okay to have these types of issues, right? You work through them, and it's not a negative reflection on your relationship. It is rebuilding a relationship with yourself, and that can affect all of those natural instincts too, right? And so the vitamins have been helping. It's not meditation, it's just like breathing and things like that. Like the doing exercises again, working out has been helping my endorphins, like having higher endorphins, and just like having my heart rate, like knowing that I'm going to be working out and knowing that like I'm going to be moving my body and stretching and getting some flexibility and mobility back, like that has been helping dramatically. I've changed a few things in my diet too, which we can talk on a later podcast about some of the things that I've been eating differently, and some of like the liquids that I've been drinking to try and help like just create a more conducive atmosphere within this shell to be able to do what I want to do with my body.
Yeah.
Like there's such a disconnect there. Vitamins are literally like the first step. And John's like literally so supportive. Like I feel like girls would be like, you have to take vitamins to like.
Which I don't understand. I don't understand why in 2021 we are not more evolved as a people and realize that everybody's bodies are different, and that everybody goes through different seasons of life, and that people who have had children like all kinds of stuff hits the fan. Like you created a human. You did that your body did that thing. Yeah. And furthermore, I just feel like even outside of like sex and like the fact that like getting older in general, right? But like you just use this machine, right? Like imagine that it is an actual machine, or like a car. You just drove around the entire world with this car, right? And cars record mileage for a reason. And so it's like people cannot expect for the car to just be running exactly the same as it did as soon as it left the maker. Like it's just not logical. Yeah. And it blows my mind because I see, obviously, like I'm always on TikTok, and I see the same thing happening on these moms, like in their comments. I'm just like, what? But to your point, it's all I understand it, because I think that it's such a touchy thing because it breeds insecurities in people and women. And it's like, you see somebody and it's like, I aspire to be able to do that, or to be able to look like that, or to have the energy to take care of myself, etc. And maybe I don't. And so instead of me going in intrinsically and being like, I need to figure this out for myself, or take the necessary precautions, or take the necessary steps to get to boost my energy. No, instead, you making yourself feel better by being a troll on the interwebs. Okay. And it's
hard. It is hard because I think that, like, innately, and I don't know when it starts in life, but 9 out of 10 people, when you're dealing with an interaction with another person, for some reason, we always think if there's an issue, if there's an obstacle to overcome, our first thought is, what am I doing wrong? And sometimes it's not you. And not to say that your partner is doing something wrong, but like if your partner is coming to you and saying that, I'm struggling with this, that does not necessarily mean that you are doing something to make them struggle with something. Sometimes they're just coming to you and trying to let you know, I am having a problem that I need to figure out how to fix for me, because nobody else is inflicting this on me. It is coming from internally outward. This is a issue, and I think that can be physical, it can be mental, I feel like a lot of people struggle with that, but it's kind of like this really, really rickety ride that people can go down, because that's it innate. It's your innate reactions to be like, oh, what am I doing? And you can really struggle with that because you can get lost in wanting to help somebody so much and wanting to know what you can do. But sometimes it has to be done completely by yourself. And so I think that, like, that's scary for people, and you have to kind of look into avenues. Is it therapy that you need to do by yourself to fix this problem? Is it like changing your health habits? Is it something you need to speak to a doctor about? All those things require effort and work. And it also requires like humility. Like, you have to be able to sit back with yourself and be like, okay, willing it is not working. Right? And so if willing it is not working, then there needs to be more work done. Am I willing to do the work? That could get scary. That could get expensive. That could get, really, really humbling, really, really quick. Because when I have to go to therapy, or if I have to go to a doctor, or if I have to change my habits, I have to share that with other people. And then that means that, like, I could have been doing something wrong. I could have fixed this so much sooner. Maybe I'm part of nobody wants to hear it, but like, maybe I'm part of a small select group that struggle with this. Maybe like that, and that I think was my fear, is like that I was a part of the minority, that like the rest of the moms out there don't struggle with this, and like don't struggle with it like in the joking way. We all see the funny little videos about like the wife turning down the husband, like, oh, she's got a headache, but it's always implied that she could still freely give it if she wanted to. She's just punishing him for something, or she's just not in the mood. But what does that mean? Like, I think that there's a lot more to that, but I felt like I was a minority in the sense that there was not enough moms. And I'm glad that I at least had just like the drive to want to get past it, and wasn't like, you know what, this is just how it is, it must be, and like I'm too insecure to really reach out about it because it's an important part of a relationship. And when I did start talking to other people, then I was like, oh, there's some things I can do. Oh, I'm not the only one. So this is I'm out here. You are not the only one, you know, and look it up, look into it, like whatever it may be. Motherhood rocks your body. It could cause a whole plethora of problems. People want to focus on postpartum depression, but there's so many other things that can happen to your body and your mental state after pregnancy that a lot of people may feel too ashamed or scared to start talking about. And just got to work through that, right? We're here, we're working through it. We're working through it. I'm glad I'm taking them. My energy level is up. I've been drinking like 1 cup of coffee a day, and that's it. And I'm still being able to, yeah. And by cup, I mean like 12 ounces or less. Sometimes it's an 8 ounce. Some days it's a 12 ounce. But 12 ounces is a healthy limit of caffeine. I don't go over that.
Yeah. And for you, that is no small feat, girl. Proud of you, girl. Proud of you.
I have to reserve my energy. I have to like healthy ways.
Especially this month. This is a crazy month. There's there's a lot going on. I know for me, and I know definitely for you. Like this month is wild, crazy. I can't even think. What is today? Today's
the 15th.
Today's the 15th.
We are halfway through February.
We're halfway through February, and I'm like, so much is going on that I've barely been able to think about the end of the month. And I'm like excited for it, but I'm like, also there's so many things blocking me from that. But I'm so pumped to be having my bridal shower, my first of 2 bridal showers. I think that so many people are like, I don't know. I think everybody who knows me knows that I love a celebrate. I love a celebrate, okay? And any opportunity I have to party is gonna happen. And I mean, I think most of the women in my family who I would really love to be at my bridal shower, like my entire family is in Florida, and then my entire friend base is in New York. Yeah. So, I mean, fortunately for me, which I don't think everybody has the luxury of having like someone who is really, really close to you in your wedding party who is willing to throw you a party in a bridal shower in your actual hometown. But fortunately, Shatayla, who's my cousin, is my matron of honor, and she knows me like the back of her hand. And so I trust her and my mom's partnership to throw me a bridal shower down there so that I don't have to sacrifice seeing all of like my aunts and cousins and stuff that would come to my bridal shower if it was local. And then, of course, my maid of honor here, Kiki, is throwing me in my bridal shower in New York in March. But yeah, so I am quite busy, okay? But I'm super excited for the end of the month.
I'll tell you nothing, but I'm going to tell you that we both have your back. We have coordinated like it's going to be good. You're going to get everything you want, everything you deserve. Because I feel like brides deserve to have that moment. And I think not everybody gets to or feels like they should be able to ask, and not to ask, but to have to. Like I feel like a lot of people feel like they have to give some of that up. And you know what? No, take that. It's your day. It's your day. This is only happening once.
I sure ain't one of them people. I'm like, child. And I mean, I actually was not even, it was actually Shatayla's idea. Yeah. And I remember when she brought it up, I was like, I didn't even think about that. Of course, in my head, I was like, it's just going to have to be in one or the other. But I'm like, what? Nah, you right. We going to do it in both places. Yeah. So I'm super excited because I just know, even if, like, I don't know what the plans are. I don't know exact details of anything, but I'm just like, I cannot remember the last time that my family like was together and like I was able to be like I was celebrated, you know, like I don't think that's happened to me, for me, and I can't even tell you how long, because I actually had a thing growing up where I did not want to throw parties. And so it was out of fear that people wouldn't show up for me. And I was always like, nope. Even my sweet 16, we went horseback riding, me and my closest friends. My mom took us horseback riding and I rode a pony, and that was it. And so I just feel like I can't remember the last time that my family was together and like I was celebrated. Like I can't. So it's super exciting to have 2 bridal showers, but the one in Florida, not that the one in New York is not going to be special, but
yeah, but it's different. It's family.
Yeah.
And I know that like you're somebody who treats your friends like family. I'm the same way. And so like not to make it like, oh, your friends aren't close to you. But I do think it's different to be able like with family, because I mean, friends are friends, but we ain't been here from day one.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just the truth. You know, we've been here for monumental things, but we haven't been here from day one. So it's different, I think, to be able to get all of your family together. And I know how close you are with your mother. I know how close you are with your grandmama, you know, so like.
Yeah, I am thrilled and pumped, but it's like, it feels so far away because there's something happening. There's like multiple things happening every weekend, including this upcoming weekend where we have a very special thing happening for Miss Kiki Carroll.
I'm so excited. I really am. And I had such PTSD from what happened with the first bridal gown that when I was talking to the alterationist, Taylor, I call her, I don't even know if that's a word, but that's what I call her. She lets me. When I was talking to her about it, I think that she could really sense like my PTSD and was like, you know, normally we do fittings like a month out. You know, like we can take the dress as early as possible, but you know, you have like a fitting 1 week, 2 weeks later, you come back for the second fitting. If we get everything, then you're good to go. If not, we squeeze like, you know, 6 days or so before your wedding, another fitting in there. We steam it, we get it all ready. Like you take it and it's like a month thing. But she really was like, you know, if you would like, we can start. We can do a date in February towards the end of the month. And then that way it gives me some work to do. And then at the very beginning of May, since my wedding's May 23rd, at the very beginning of May, I think that everything's going to go smoothly with that first fitting. So that second fitting may be your take it home. And I feel like she's right in calling it that way, because when I went for my consultation, I felt very safe there. I felt like there was nothing that was going to prevent this woman from taking care of my dress in a timely fashion. And I just felt like she knew what she was doing. Like as she was pinning me, all the problems, because you were the only person who's seen the dress besides my mom. And, you know, we had it, obviously it was too big. Neither one of us are tailors. So we're trying to finagle it to be able to kind of get a decent picture, because, you know, you can see in your head the potential, but it doesn't look like anything like wow in that moment. And in that first consultation, when she was pinning me, like I wasn't saying anything, because I'm not here to tell you how to do your job until I feel like you're not doing your job right. And so I was just sitting there and she was pinning stuff and I was like, oh, like the lines are coming together, like all of that. And when I tell you, she snatched me and gave me a Dorothy Dandridge waist, it was like, I was like, okay, I don't have hips, but I don't know what you just did there. It makes it look like I do. So I was just like, she knows that look that I'm going for. And it's kind of like a vintage French, kind of like European, like I want to feel like that classic 50s beauty. Like basically if Dorothy Dandridge had married the King of Monaco, you know, like that, like if Dorothy Dandridge had lived Grace Kelly's life, right? Like that's what I'm going for. And she got that, like she really got that. Even when we were just talking about the bustle, right? Like she was just looking and she goes, I'm thinking you want a French bustle. And I was like, I do. So I'm really excited because she's going to have done some work. And with the pins in it, I can even just like see that it was like really going to be a wow dress. And so to have some of the pins taken out, I'm really excited. Plus, I feel like every positive experience I have with this dress kind of like makes all the negative experiences that I had with the other dress. I haven't thought about that. There was a time where I was thinking about that dress every single day, and it was so depressing because there were so many unknowns. Money was just hanging out there, not taken care of. I didn't have it. You know, COVID's a very uncertain time, and I don't think about that dress anymore. But it haunts me sometimes. Like I can't unsee it. So every single time that I see my dress, like as it's like taking on the life of like just this bomb, wow wedding dress, I'm like, what first dress? What? Who?
First dress, who?
Yeah. So
I don't
I'm
know.
really excited about that. I'm really excited about that. And I mean, look, I haven't really like lost any inches in the waist, so her measurements are good. Her measurements are good. We're on this wedding fit
wedding
journey,
fit journey.
and I will say this. So like week 6 was hard for me. I like struggled with consistency. I did my predominant workouts, but I did not do my homework. And I told Lauren, and Lauren was like sad, and I was like, oh God, Kiana, we got to get it together. Like, because, like she's doing all this work, I will say I had done really, really well prior to that. But I think I was just running on E from work, and having Liam home with us kind of always throws a wrench into things, and just a holiday weekend, and I kind of just fell off. But I will say I've gained weight. However, I've gained it in the places I prefer. So I'm not mad at that. I am starting to see the lines on my stomach. I'm like, oh, that's a thing. And I am starting to get more of like the strength in my pelvic floor back. That was gone. Okay. That was gone. Liam took all that. So I'm really excited that like, even like the tenderness around my scar is becoming like it's not even a thing, because those muscles are getting stronger. And so it's my awareness of my scar. You would think that like that was long gone. No. I was very aware it was still there, but that's getting better. And I've gained some width on my hip thigh area. So my waist has not shrunk, but it is getting more defined. So I'll take it. Hi, how you doing, friend? How you doing, friend?
I am going to be starting with my trainer this week. So I'm actually super excited for that. We had a great kind of like trial sesh, and he really wants to focus on I also, it's not an injury because nothing happened. It just occurred. So for my bulging disc that I have in my back, it's just pain that I'm just living with. And I do have a pretty high tolerance for pain. So I think it's probably not normal for people to just be walking around in pain all the time. So it was nice to have. I think that the thing that I like about the idea of training, even though it's going to cost me money during like wedding season, is that the person knows what your goals are. And so like this person has the knowledge to come up with a workout that is tailored and specified and like personalized for you. And so like, yes, there are like body goals that I have, but then there's also like the fact that like I am living with pain that's not normal. And immediately like he was like, okay, so this is what we need to do then. Because obviously as a trainer, he's familiar with the fact that like he's familiar with what you do to fix those things, which if you're not somebody who knows these things, like you're just gonna be like, stretch? No, incorrect. So I'm very excited to start with my trainer, but I think for me, I haven't necessarily, sorry, New York. Anytime you'd like to stop, that'd be nice. So for me, I think that at this point in my life, it's not necessarily even like my own choices, because I think we all know that I eat like a rabbit. But like, and I am pretty active. Like I'm a dancer. I literally teach a dance fitness class. Like at this point in my life, though, I think that if you look at all of the women in my family, we are we are ackee and saltfish and dumpling and green banana, and we are made of food. We are made of our Jamaican roots, and it is hereditary. And so there's some things that like you have to fight against, like something that is literally the way that your body is made to be. And so for me, I'm not necessarily trying to be small. I'm not necessarily trying to lose inches or anything like that, because I actually think I got a banging body, I'm sorry to say. But I just don't want it to get, I don't necessarily want, I want to tone things, and I want it to be tailored, right? Yeah. So like, you know, I want it to actually, I like my waist is already small. I want it to stay that way. And I want my, you know, the places that's supposed to be nice and thick, because my man like it thick. It's gonna stay thick. It's just gonna be toned and not jiggly and not cellulite ridden, you know, which cellulite is hereditary as well, just for everybody who seems to think that it's not and be trying to do stuff to like make it is hereditary. So like if you don't want to have cellulite, like it's kind of the way things work sometimes. But I'm excited. I've never had a personal trainer, even though like my sister has been a trainer for years, but I've always kind of been like, oh no, I can figure it out on my own, like home workouts, or the fact that I'm like go just dance more and things like that. But I think that it's exciting to me because I am Enneagram type 1 from top to bottom. I'm a perfectionist. So the second we did that trial and he's like, your form, it's so perfect. I'm like, oh, keep telling me that, sir. Oh, this form? Oh, you mean this form that I'm doing right now? Oh, this? he made a mistake because I was like,
it's like, it's the best. Like, I'm grateful that she's been available, because I think that like, I mean, it's, you think sometimes because you're an avid person who works out, right? Like you're not a stranger to working out, but you're so right. Like she knows exactly what my goals are. And so she knows that like, I don't care if I lose weight. I don't care if I gain weight, as long as what I gained is muscle. You know, she knows like what I'm trying to gain core strength, because that was all taken away during the pregnancy. She knows I'm trying to gain like mobility in my legs. And just everything that surrounds and ties into my pelvic floor. I'm trying to really take care of that. And she modifies, because I have issues now that I did not have when I used to be a Zumba instructor, when I used to run marathons. And so sometimes I need modifications for my wrist. Sometimes I need modifications for my lower back. But she makes those for me. I wouldn't know what those are. You know, and sometimes I'll be stretching, you know, you have to stretch afterwards. And I've told her, you know, I'm thinking I've got some tightness right here. And I know I'm stretching, I'm warming up properly. I'm stretching afterwards, but am I doing the right stretches? So, you know, I'm telling her, she's like, no, you're not, you know, and like, how would I know that, you know? And in the moment, you could be doing a stretch textbook, but for your body, you need to do something that feels unnatural, or something you feel like might be less or wrong because it doesn't look like the picture, but it's not. So like, I recommend it to anybody if you have the opportunity. I'm so excited for you because I worry sometimes about your back, girl.
I mean, it's one of those things that I'm just like, listen. And I think I was gonna get some stuff taken care of right before COVID happened, but of course that changed everything for everybody. Yeah. But really, I mean, I should be going to, at this point, like a spinal specialist. But I didn't even I wasn't able to start because of COVID. And now I'm like full wedding mode and like crazy town. So I'm like, listen, after this wedding, we will fix this back right up.
You're on the list. You are on the list, Becky Beck. But yeah, there's a few things that are ahead of you. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, I don't want to say it because I just really like, I want to get to a world or a place, and I know rationally, I know it's not possible. Like, this is the reality. But I would just like to like float off into a land of rainbows and unicorns and just not acknowledge that Trump was ever our president and that Trump was just acquitted for the second time. Like, listen, yo. So he was the president who was impeached twice and not held accountable twice.
Yeah.
Which means he will be able to rear his UGLY head at any future time in the Republican Party, whether it's just in the capacity of assisting in campaigning or whatever. You know, I think that a lot of people think that it's like it was unnecessary to continue on, and it's like, okay, he's gone already, he's done. But there's so many things that actually voting for the impeachment and holding him to that would have stripped for him, that would have made it pretty much impossible for him to do anything in 4 years. You know, and so it's frustrating. It gets my eye roll. It gets my mention because, look, it happened. But there was a lot of other exciting news. And I'm really excited to talk about this. I want to know your thoughts on this. So, in case you have not been on social media in the past 7 days or so, I want to fill you in on Kalina Collier. Okay, so Kalina Collier was on vacation. So we all thought, with her mother in Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica. Hey, right? She was on vacation. She's getting out of the US for a nice vacation. She put on her Instagram some fairly cryptic kind of messages, right? She was on her live or something. She's just talking, but very cryptic, implying that the hotel would not let her leave, implying that the hotel may have been doing some shady things, not letting her kind of like use the facilities, not letting her exit the premises. And let's be honest, it is 2021. Trafficking is a huge thing, okay? And so to be a female, a young female, it's a problem in the US borders, let alone outside. But you know, we're always hearing these stories about people going on vacation and they coming up missing, right? And so after she posts these cryptic little videos of her talking about not being able to leave, she kind of goes, she kind of like goes completely black and dark on social media. So people start getting concerned. I started seeing it on YouTube. I saw it on people's Instagrams. I saw it in like little like, maybe it was like the New York Post or something like that. People were concerned. I saw Amanda Seales had like wrote like an email to like the embassy just inquiring, like, could somebody just like check on this? Because it's been a couple of days that like this girl's gone dark on social media and it's concerning the videos that she posted. Right. So then we're all just a hot mess. We're in tangles. We're like, what is going on with Kalina Collier? And then she comes home. Then she you know, like leaves Jamaica and some other details start to come out. You know, it's like, well, she went dark for like 14 days, like 10 to 14 days. Isn't it a quarantine period? Like, isn't it like some places where you travel, if you're not willing to take the tests, like if you're not going and taking a COVID test when you arrive, you have to quarantine. Yeah. And you aren't allowed to leave the premises because you have not quarantined. It is for the safety of the rest of the island that like
which is very strict, by the way.
Yeah,
like Jamaica's rules are not for the faint of heart. Like they're not playing about COVID. So, and which is why I'm confused as to why in the first place this was even a question mark. Like when she got to the hotel or when she had to quarantine and like when they're not letting you use certain things or whatever, like in order to even have gone to Jamaica, you have to do all kinds of stuff. You have to get a test and all this, like they make you submit for specific clearance to be able to come into the country. So it's like, what? I don't even understand. I don't I don't understand.
I look, you're just taking my emotions on a roller coaster because I'm sitting here worried for your well-being. Like, I'm thinking I need to write some letters. I'm like, where do I need to call? Because I don't necessarily believe now, especially because I feel like Doth protests too much when you want to put an entire novel on Instagram explaining how you never said you had like been kidnapped and you never left any like people took it the way they took it, that you never tried to imply that this hotel was doing something that they were not supposed to be doing and they were keeping you against your will when you were quarantining and did not think that anybody would take that as if you might be in danger, right? So now I think that there is some like legal actions. I think that like slander on the hotel and just like the implications of like, also that's right up there with, charges get pressed when people believe that you have faked your own kidnapping, which in essence, she kind of led the world to believe that she had been kidnapped.
Because see, and where the hole is for me is when you then went dark on social media or whatever, like you mean to tell me that you didn't see all of the like,
you could have a Google alert for your name now.
Like you didn't see all of the concern that was being raised for you and how people were going hard for you. It was an attention. It was such an attention.
And I also feel that with all the phone calls that were being made, I'm sure that she had been notified by the hotel, like, please say something because we are not.
Yeah, I actually read that earlier. It said that they asked her to say something.
Did not say anything until she returned to the United States.
Like, what is this?
And I think that that's where she gets herself into trouble, is because to say that you did not aid in the misconception that you had been kidnapped and that you had been held against your will at this hotel is false, because you had been asked numerous times when this started to gain light, when police were starting to be called, or the hotel was starting to be bombarded with people trying to figure out what was going on. You were approached and asked to make a statement, and you didn't make a statement. So then we've got like the police saying she's fine. We got the hotel saying she's fine. We don't believe the police. You know who we are? We don't believe the police.
Yeah.
And you saw what just happened at that hotel with that girl who snatched that phone out of that little boy's hand. So we don't believe hotels either. So that's why they were asking you to make a statement, and you didn't until you got home and realized.
I she just tried to do some sort of social experiment or something, because I just don't understand the logic behind it. It was either just you just trying to make yourself famous and be in some news articles and stuff and get attention, or you were doing a social experiment to see what would happen if a black girl was kidnapped in Jamaica. I don't know. I just think that it's definitely was foolishness, that whole thing.
But you know what? I bet you she gets a documentary on Netflix.
Yeah.
I bet you she does. Now, the other thing, I did not watch this documentary. I'm going to preface this with that. I've just seen some swirl buzz.
Oh, Lord.
Around it, Lord. Now that people have watched it. I am going to watch it because I love myself a good documentary. However, I'm not quite sure how encompassing the documentary is because Britney herself can't speak.
Yeah.
That's the real documentary I want to watch. But this whole Free Britney movement, which I'm for, I think that her conservatorship, I don't know what's going on with that. Somebody help that girl, because she's a woman who's been taken advantage of by this conservatorship her entire life in the public eye. And whatever it is, it's just literally like man keeping his thumb on this woman and like being in control of her funds and her life. It's so toxic. It's not healthy. I don't think it's necessary. But it just literally makes my skin crawl. But the Free Britney movement that's going on right now, and the documentary that's out about just kind of her conservatorship and all of that, is kind of like dredging up some old issues between an ex-flame, aka the love of your life that your fiance knows you would leave him for in a heartbeat, Justin Timberlake. Look, he may be mad that I said it, but he knows it's true.
Though I just feel like if we're gonna attack a man over Britney and hold somebody responsible, hold her father accountable and hold Kevin Federline accountable, because we all know that after Kevin Federline is when things went real south. Real south. Now, I totally get it. I understand what people are saying in regards to Justin Timberlake, but I think that we're directing it at the wrong, like one, they were kids. So when Justin Timberlake made the video, because he released a statement apologizing, I was highly confused as to why the love of my life was apologizing. And so I immediately looked it up. I also have not watched the documentary. I'm all for the Free Britney movement. Totally makes me sad what she's going through. And like, we've definitely talked about Britney Spears' posts and like something needs to be done ASAP. But I think going back in time and like attacking Justin Timberlake to the point where he feels like he needs to apologize, I was just like, I'm so confused. And so when I was reading, it seemed like I was gathering that they're basically saying that the way that he portrayed her in the Crimea River video, specifically Crimea River, it was a part of the reason for her doubt. Like it was a part of the reason why people were like talking about her at that time, et cetera, et cetera. Correction. People were talking about her because one, their relationship ended abruptly. And the reason was because she had cheated on him. And so that was the reason why now Justin Timberlake, who is sad and heartbroken over the fact that this has occurred, did a petty thing, yes, and made a music video with a girl who was pretty obviously supposed to look like Britney Spears. And he was in the song was very much about their relationship. Mind you, I'm Justin Timberlake, someone who is just now going solo from the band that I've been in since I was a kid. Also, I'm heartbroken and sad and all this stuff and whatever, and I want to be petty. And so that's why that whole thing happened. Cool. He maybe, yes, apologized for being petty. That's about the extent of it. Making this into a deep thing and like trying to blame him for like her downfall, I really don't think that I think we're reaching a little bit at that point. Like those two things don't connect. What I want to see is somebody go get Kevin Federline. Like, let's talk about that, because that was the most toxic of toxic situations. Yeah. And I think we all could see that. Like, I'm like, let's just. I
think that this is where I have a problem with things, is I feel like people want. So I agree with you in the sense that like when you're young, you make some mistakes. I do not want to be judged for all the bad decisions that I made in my past, for all the negative things that I said. And for all the people that love me, I am sure there are tons of people out there whose perception of me is completely negative, because in our relationship or in our crossing of paths, at that time in my life, I probably wasn't mature. I probably wasn't an eloquent speaker. I probably had a short fuse temper, whichever. And if I ever came into somebody who was in contact with me, who felt that way and verbalized that with me, I would apologize for that. And which I think is what he did when it was called to his attention. You know, should he have apologized sooner? Possibly. That's always debatable, right? Like whether or not when you come to the realization that maybe in your past you did something wrong, should you go and apologize and dredge that back up? Or should you wait for it to be brought up and apologize? And like, it's that kind of like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because maybe you have realized that you were wrong, but you haven't apologized yet because you don't want to bring it back up, dredge it back up for that person. Either maybe that person doesn't need your apology.
Yeah, everybody's
reason why people don't apologize for their previous bad behavior. But my problem in these situations is that when somebody does, right, when they're like, you know what? Obviously, I should have done it then. For whatever my reasons were for not doing it, I'm doing it now, right? Completely different person from that time frame. I don't think that a lot of people feel like that he, maybe some people do, but don't feel like that he doesn't have appreciation for her now, or that he probably doesn't look back and wish that he'd handled things differently in his relationship with her as a grown adult. I feel like every person miles down the road from their previous relationships thinks to some point or extent, when I was in that relationship, all I could see was how they did me wrong. But it takes two people to mess up a relationship. So now, as an older grown adult, I can realize those things. What bothers me is when somebody does do that, when they acknowledge, then they move on and they are humble in that moment. And they're like, yeah, I need to apologize. I didn't before. Those reasons don't matter. I'm just taking accountability. We don't ever let that be enough. I felt the same way when Kevin Hart apologized, when people came after him for jokes that he had made years and years ago about the gay community. As a comedian, right? And similar to that, you know, Justin's making music about the things in his life that he's experienced. Taylor Swift does the same thing. You know, when Kevin Hart makes jokes, as a comedian does, and comedians always make jokes about inappropriate things, is what they get paid to do, right? But when he apologized, it was like everybody wanted him to keep apologizing. You need to be so sorry. Like, you saying you're sorry and moving on, and you showing in your work and the way that you deal with people, like, for the better part of the time that has passed since then, means nothing. You just need to keep apologizing until your tongue is raw, right? And so I feel like he apologized, and then that apology wasn't good enough. And so now that's opened the can, right? So let's also bring back up what happened with Janet Jackson at the Super Bowl. Did he need to apologize? I think so. But you apologize for that? Okay, you apologize. Now let's find something else for you to apologize for, because now you are never done apologizing for your bad behavior, and we will find every bad moment that you have ever had as a person growing up in the industry, in the Hollywood eye, like making bad choices. And I always feel like all these people that are so quick to throw stones, would you want, and yes, they chose this life. However, regardless, if you chose this life and you look back on your life, would you want the world holding you accountable and making you apologize for every single thing you did?
Genuinely feel like they try to reach with Justin Timberlake. People are always trying to find something wrong, because, to be really honest, and maybe this opinion is just taboo, but last time I checked, if I was the one who was cheated on in a relationship, people would be asking for the person who cheated apology to me. Okay. I don't think that he did. I still firmly don't believe that. I'm just going along with the apology because I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe it was petty to put somebody who looked like her in the video, but the person who he put in the video, it's not like in the video he was killing her, or like it was something. Literally, he made a song, which I would like to point out, there are artists, musical artists, that write songs about what is happening in their lives. And so people have actually, from the beginning of time, written songs about things like that after they've occurred in their own lives. So let's start there. It's art, and that is literally what people are listening to the music for. And at the time that Cry Me a River came out, it was a bop, still a bop, always will be a bop, okay? And the reason why it hit even harder was because of the fact that we knew that this was coming from a real place. He was singing the song because he had lived this experience and was feeling how he was feeling about it. Now, putting a woman in the video who looks like Britney Spears, okay, like, so to be really honest, it could be very well at the time he was like, that was his type at the time, and that's who he casted in the video. Yeah, he kind of might have been like, oh yeah, she do kind of look like Britney, so yeah, let's put her in the video. It is not that freaking deep. Okay, it's not that deep. And it's just that's the part that's blowing my mind, is that yes, I don't think she's in her right mind. She has had a lot of mental issues and distress since then, but I don't think that specific thing, like, again, if it was something happening right now, I'm not looking for an apology from the person who was heartbroken. I'm looking for an apology from the person who cheated. And cause now this person is they reacted to their feelings, which is actually pretty human. Now, granted, a lot of things that Britney Spears had to go through that women should not have to she was a kid, like young girls should not have to be exposed to. totally not saying that that's not a thing, but I do think that sometimes we are reaching to blame someone and are pointing fingers at the wrong person and not really thinking about, like, if this was a regular real life situation and this was you, my friend, oh, you better believe we put in somebody that looked just like John in that music video, okay? Because he tried it. And that's that. And I'm definitely not going to be looking for an apology from you, like, you know, as the person who was wronged in the situation. I just personally feel like it's just a lot, and I'm totally I'm on team free Britney, but I'm also on team let's not attack people for things that they did when they were a flippin' kid going through major life changes, and also both of them had a lot of eyes and pressure on them both. Like, really, let's just stop it. But this is what people do. They just be trying to find somebody to blame for everything. And it's like, dude, the same people who be saying this stuff, I really am like, do we want to pull your receipts?
Probably not.
Pretty sure you wouldn't want that. You don't want your receipts.
That's the boat that I'm in. That is the boat that I'm in.
You don't want your receipts to be pulled, and you're not in the limelight. So it's probably a whole lot more receipts and a whole lot deeper stuff going on. You know,
exactly.
I can't.
It was an eventful week. It really was. But you know, it is shout out time. It is shout out time. Who we shouting out this week?
We are shouting out Danielle, giving us all of our stones and crystals. I'm so excited to wear my waist belt. I'm like, it's still safely tucked away, because I'm like, just counting down. I'm pretty sure the first time I'm gonna wear them is when we're in DR, because it's cold.
Yeah.
But I have not dabbled in the other pieces, which I know you have your necklace.
I have a lot. So Danielle from Ebony and Green, she's based out of Texas, which, I mean, just send her some love. Texas is going through some stuff right now. They are not equipped for snowstorms. Like, people's heat is getting turned off, power is getting turned off, their pipes are freezing, they can't get to and from work. Like, listen, we up here in New York, I'm from Ohio, we know about the snow, but not everybody is fully equipped to be able to maneuver through that. And there's a lot of cities in Texas that are basically shutting down, and she's affected by it as well. So I know she's, you know, trying to find her inner peace and stay calm, and I just wish that for her, because I feel like I have received that. Like, I've got my beads are on right now, and it came with this in a set. I have earrings too, but I felt like it was a gold moment that was happening.
She handmakes these things, y'all. So, like, in the middle of all of what's going on, I'm sure she is doing all that she can.
and she's still making custom belts for people.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, she does these things on her own. So let's give her some grace and send her some positive vibes, because everything that she makes is a vibe. So once it is delivered, it's going to be a vibe. Okay.
Yeah. Patience is a virtue. Patience is a virtue. So what do you have going on this week? What do you got coming up?
This week, what is coming up this week? I'm telling you, man, it's a lot. I am working on wedding invitation stuff. And in between that, just all the content your heart can desire. Okay.
Outfits. I really have.
What'd you say?
I've been feeling the outfits.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I'm trying to just be consistent in letting the people get ready with me. So Monday, Wednesday, Fridays is when you'll see style and fashion content, and my shenanigans in between. Tuesdays and Thursdays is all about the comedy and me just acting a fool in general. And we do have some couples content coming soon, some music, some songbird and bassist music.
I'm excited for that. You know, just follow along. I am still trucking through. It is still Black History Month. I feel like some people stop celebrating.
But it feels like, it really does feel like the month like it's been a whole month.
Yeah, no. We still have a lot of days left, and I've got plenty of other Black-owned businesses to share. So keep watching. I didn't run out. I've got plenty more. So we're still doing that. But yeah, check out Ebony and Green. If you're not following Miss Asha or It's Kiki Carol, please do. We've got some fun stuff going on this week that you'll definitely want to check out. If you're not subscribed to this YouTube, please do. And we will see you next week, y'all.
See ya.